August 12, 2001, 7:43 a.m. Park Ranger David Mitchell arrives at campsite 47B in Glacier National Park, Montana. The coffee is still hot on the camp stove. 3 plates of scrambled eggs sit untouched, steam rising in the morning air. The Henderson brothers' tents are zipped from the inside. Their gear is perfectly arranged, but Jake, Michael, and Ryan Henderson are nowhere to be found. 23 years later, Wildlife Officer Mark Stevens would stand in a hidden cave, holding evidence that would finally reveal what happened to them. His words, recorded on body cam, still send chills down investigators' spines. Dear God, they didn't die the way everyone thinks. They survived down here for 47 days. And what they discovered. This changes everything we thought we knew about the missing persons cases in Montana. The 911 call came at 8:15 p.m. on August 12, 2001. Margaret Henderson's voice breaks as she speaks to the dispatcher. My boys were supposed to call from the ranger station at noon. They never miss check-in. Something's wrong. Jake would never let his brothers miss that call. Please, you have to find them. Her maternal instinct was right. At that very moment, 60 feet below the Montana wilderness, her 3 sons were trapped in a nightmare that would last 47 days and expose a criminal conspiracy that had been operating for 4 decades. Jake Henderson, 28, was the protector. 6'2", former Army Ranger, 75th Regiment. He'd always been the shield between his younger brothers and the world. But that August, Jake was carrying secrets that weighed heavier than his camping pack. His divorce papers were in his truck, signed but not filed. His construction business was 3 months from bankruptcy. His wife Sarah had emptied their joint account. $180,000 gone overnight. This camping trip wasn't just tradition. It was Jake's desperate attempt to feel like the big brother again, the one who had everything under control. His last voicemail to his ex-wife, recovered from her deleted messages in 2024, revealed his state of mind. Sarah, I'm taking this trip with my brothers. When I get back, we need to talk. I can't keep pretending everything's fine. I'm drowning here. Michael Henderson, 25, was the genius. MIT graduate, youngest geologist ever hired by the Montana Geological Survey. He saw patterns where others saw rocks. But Michael's brilliance came with obsession, and his latest obsession was about to cost everything. 3 weeks before the trip, Michael had discovered something in old survey maps that didn't match current geological data. There was a cave system in Glacier National Park that shouldn't exist according to modern surveys. Either the maps were wrong, or someone had deliberately hidden its existence. Michael's laptop, recovered from his apartment after the disappearance, contained dozens of files comparing geological surveys from the 1960s with recent data. His conclusion: someone had systematically erased all records of massive cave networks throughout Montana. His final email to his professor, sent August 9, Dr. Williams. I've found it. The cave system I theorized about exists. If I'm right about what's inside, this discovery will change everything. My brothers think we're just camping, but I'm about to prove my theory. Ryan Henderson, 22, was the dreamer, fresh out of college, working at a local newspaper. He was the brother who still believed in happy endings. In his backpack, carefully wrapped in waterproof plastic, was a diamond ring he'd spent 6 months saving for. He planned to propose to Emily, his girlfriend since high school, the moment he got back. The ring was inscribed, "Forever starts now, Nisai." Emily would later tell investigators that Ryan had been nervous about the trip. He kept saying something felt off about Michael's excitement, like his brother knew something he wasn't sharing. Ryan almost didn't go, but Jake guilted him about family tradition. The Henderson brothers' camping trip was supposed to be sacred. Every August, since their father died in 1995, they'd spend a week in the Montana wilderness, honoring his memory. Their father, Robert Henderson, had been a park ranger who taught them everything about survival. "If you boys ever get lost," he'd said during their last trip together, Remember, shelter, water, fire, food in that order. And never, ever separate. You're stronger together. Those words would haunt them in the darkness to come. August 10th, 2001, 2 p.m. Security footage from the ranger station shows the three brothers checking in, getting their wilderness permits, joking with staff. Jake is seen studying the map intently, while Michael points to a specific area off the main trails. Ryan is on the payphone, presumably talking to Emily. Ranger Tom Morrison, who issued their permit, remembered the interaction. Michael kept asking about old mining operations in the area, said he was doing geological research. Jake seemed annoyed, kept trying to redirect to regular camping spots. Ryan just wanted to know about cell phone coverage. They drove Michael's Jeep as far as the fire road would allow, then hiked 6 miles into the back country. Michael's GPS tracker, found years later, showed they deviated from their registered route almost immediately. Instead of heading to the established campsite, they veered northwest toward an area marked on old maps as unstable terrain media trend. That first night, August 10th, they set up camp in a clearing near a rock formation Michael had been obsessing over. Ryan's camera, recovered from the cave in 2024, contains footage from that evening. The brothers are around the campfire, Jake cooking his famous trail chili, Michael excitedly explaining rock stratification patterns, Ryan filming it all. At timestamp 9:47 p.m., Michael says something that would prove prophetic. Guys, I think there's something here that people don't want found. These formations don't happen naturally. Someone modified this landscape. Jake's response, caught on camera. Mike, not everything's a conspiracy. Sometimes rocks are just rocks. Ryan, from behind the camera. Can we just have one normal camping trip? Michael's final words in the footage. Tomorrow, I'll show you. There's a cave entrance behind that northern ridge. It's not on any current maps. But look at this 1963 survey. The camera captures him unfolding an old document. It shows a massive network. Someone went to great lengths to hide it. August 11th started normally. Ryan's camera shows them eating breakfast, Jake doing his morning exercises, Michael studying his maps, and taking rock samples. At 10 a.m., they began hiking toward Michael's mysterious cave. The footage becomes more ominous as they climb. The forest grows denser, darker. At one point, Jake stops and says, "Mike, this doesn't feel right. Dad always said to trust your gut in the wilderness." Michael's response, "We're so close. Just another hour." They found the cave entrance at 11:30 a.m. It was exactly where Michael predicted, hidden behind a manufactured rock slide that looked decades old. The opening was small, barely wide enough for a person to squeeze through, but Michael's flashlight revealed it opened into a larger chamber beyond. Ryan's camera captures their debate. Jake, "We're not equipped for spelunking. We should mark it and come back with proper gear." Michael, "I've been preparing for this for months. I have everything we need." Ryan, "This is insane. We should at least tell someone where we are." Michael, "If we report this, they'll shut it down. Trust me, there's something important here." The last surface footage shows Michael entering first, his excitement palpable. Jake follows reluctantly. And Ryan, still filming, squeezes through last. The timestamp reads 12:03 p.m., August 11th, 2001. What happened next would remain a mystery for 23 years. The camera kept recording in the cave. Initially, the footage shows wonder. The chamber beyond the entrance was massive, with stalactites and stalagmites creating an underground cathedral. Michael's geological commentary is breathless with excitement. This limestone formation is at least 200 million years old. But look at these marks. Someone's been mining here recently. Jake's ranger instincts kicked in immediately. Those aren't natural formations. Someone's been using heavy equipment down here. Mike, we need to leave. Now. But Michael had already found something. The camera captures him kneeling beside what appears to be mining equipment. This is from the 1980s. Someone's been extracting something from here for decades. Ryan's voice. Nervous. Guys, the air feels weird down here. It's moving. There's a draft. Michael's response revealed his true knowledge. That's because this system is massive. I calculate at least 50 miles of tunnels based on the airflow patterns. They ventured deeper, following Michael's instincts and the strange draft. The camera shows them marking their path with chalk, Jake insisting on proper cave exploration protocols, despite Michael's urgency. 30 minutes into the cave, they found the first evidence that they weren't the first to explore these depths. A camping setup, perfectly preserved in the dry cave air, Coleman lanterns from the 1970s, sleeping bags covered in dust, and most disturbing personal effects scattered as if the occupants had left in a hurry or been forced to leave. Jake's military training switched to high alert. This is a crime scene. We're leaving. Now. But as they turned to go back, they heard it. The sound that would trap them for 47 days. A rumbling, grinding noise echoed through the cave. The camera shakes violently as Ryan runs, following his brothers back toward the entrance. The footage becomes chaotic, flashing lights, dust, screaming. Then Jake's voice, controlled but tight with fear. The entrance is gone. The whole thing collapsed. Ryan's camera captures him hyperventilating, Jake trying to calm him, Michael frantically examining the cave-in. Tons of rock had sealed their only known exit. They were trapped 60 feet underground with limited supplies and no one knowing their exact location. Jake took command immediately, his military training overriding panic.
Okay, inventory. What do we have?
Ryan, stop filming. Save battery. Michael, how much do you really know about this cave system? Their inventory was grim. 3 days of food if rationed carefully, 2 gallons of water, 4 flashlights with extra batteries, Michael's geological equipment, basic first aid, Ryan's camera with 2 extra batteries, and Michael's emergency satellite phone, which was useless underground. Michael's confession came in hour 3 of their entrapment. I knew the cave-in risk. That's why I didn't file our real route. I thought we'd be in and out before anyone noticed. Jake's fury was captured in Ryan's journal, found with his remains. Jake almost killed Michael, had him pinned against the cave wall, screaming about how his obsession had finally killed us all. I had to pull them apart. We're 3 hours trapped, and already turning on each other. But survival instinct prevailed. Jake compartmentalized his anger and went into ranger mode. First priority, find water. The draft meant the cave system continued, which meant possible underground water sources. They had to go deeper to survive. Day 2 underground, August 13th. Michael's geological knowledge became their lifeline. He could read the rock formations like maps, following mineral deposits that indicated water flow. 7 hours into their search, they found it an underground stream, clear and cold. Jake tested it with purification tablets. They had water. They could survive longer than 3 days. Ryan's journal, his handwriting increasingly shaky. Michael says the cave system is massive. He thinks there might be other entrances. Jake is rationing food Meyer, half a protein bar per person per day. I can't stop thinking about Emily. She doesn't even know where I really am. Day 3 brought the first sign they weren't alone in the cave system's history. Deep in what Michael designated Chamber 7, they found more evidence of human presence. This time it was more recent, much more recent. Mining equipment with manufacture dates from the 1990s. Blast marks on walls, and most unsettling, a makeshift prison cell carved into the rock, with scratch marks on the walls counting days. Someone had been held here against their will. Jake's military assessment was grim. This is an illegal mining operation. Major 1. And they don't let witnesses leave. The brothers made a crucial decision: document everything. If they died down here, there needed to be evidence of what they'd found. Ryan's camera became their testimony recorder. Each brother recorded messages to loved ones and detailed descriptions of their discoveries. Jake, on camera, August 14th. If someone finds this, know that we discovered an illegal mining operation in Glacier National Park. Coordinates from our last known position, approximately 2 miles northwest. Someone's been extracting minerals here for decades and covering it up. Michael's scientific analysis was more specific. Based on the rock damage patterns and residue, they're extracting rare earth minerals, specifically neodymium and dysprosium. These are worth millions on the black market. The operation is sophisticated. They knew exactly where to dig. Ryan's message to Emily is heartbreaking. I was going to propose when I got back. The ring is in my pack. If I don't make it, know that you were my everything. Tell my mom we stayed together. Tell her we weren't afraid. Day 7, August 18th. They'd explored 16 chambers, mapping as they went. Michael's calculations suggested they'd covered less than 5% of the total system. But something strange happened that changed everything. They found fresh food. Not old, preserved food. Fresh, canned goods with expiration dates. From 2002, water bottles, military MREs, dated just months old. Someone was using this cave system actively, and they'd just found a supply cache. Jake's tactical assessment. We're in someone's operation. Active operation. They could come back any time. The moral dilemma was captured in their recorded discussion. Michael, we need this food to survive. Jake, taking it, tells them someone's here. Ryan, we're already dead. If they find us, might as well not starve. They took half the supplies, carefully rearranging the rest to hide the theft. It would buy them weeks of survival. But it also started a dangerous game of cat and mouse. Day 12, August 23rd. Ryan's camera captured something that still chills investigators. In the background of a video where Michael is explaining mineral formations, there's movement, a shadow that doesn't match their lights. Someone was watching them. The brothers didn't notice at the time, but the camera saw everything. Day 15, August 26th. The first direct evidence of their observers. Jake found a note tucked into their makeshift camp. Stop exploring. Stay in chambers 1-7. Food will come. Disobey and face consequences. The brothers' recorded debate shows their dilemma. Jake, it's a trap. They're keeping us contained. Michael, but they're keeping us alive. Why? Ryan, maybe they need time to decide what to do with us. They chose to explore further. Jake's reasoning. If we're going to die, we die trying to escape, not sitting and waiting for execution. Day 18, August 29th. Chamber 23 revealed the operation's darkest secret: human remains. Multiple sets, some decades old, some recent, and with them identification. Wallets, driver's licenses, missing persons who'd vanished in Glacier National Park over 40 years. Ryan's camera documents Jake's discovery of a Forest Service badge. The name made him collapse. Robert Henderson, their father. The car accident that killed their father in 1995 wasn't an accident. He'd found this operation and been eliminated. His body was never recovered from the supposed crash site because he'd never been in his car. He'd been murdered here, in this cave, probably trying to investigate the very thing his sons had now stumbled upon. Michael's anguished recording. Dad found this. That's why he died. That's why his body was never found. They killed him and staged the accident. Oh God, Mom. She never knew. Jake's fury was volcanic. Ryan's camera captured him destroying equipment, screaming into the darkness. Come face us. Stop hiding. You killed our father. The response came 12 hours later. Gas began seeping into their chamber. Not lethal, but sedating. The last footage before unconsciousness shows the three brothers huddled together, Jake trying to shield his younger brothers with his body. They woke in a different chamber, stripped of most equipment but left with Ryan's camera. Deliberately, it seemed, a message was carved into the wall. Your father was brave too. It didn't save him. Day 25, September 3rd. The psychological warfare had begun. Sounds echoed through the caves, their mother's voice calling for them, Emily crying, their father's last recorded message playing on repeat. The mining operations owners were trying to break them. Jake's journal shows his determination. They want us to give up, to stop fighting. But Henderson boys, don't quit. Dad didn't quit. We won't either. Michael had been calculating, mapping, thinking. His geological knowledge revealed something crucial. The blast patterns show they're following a specific vein. If we follow it backward, it might lead to their main entrance. Day 30, September 8th. They found it. Or rather, they found evidence of it. Fresh air, stronger than anywhere else in the cave. Tire tracks from heavy equipment. And most importantly, electrical cables running along the ceiling. This was the active part of the operation. They also found something else. A holding area with 3 living people. Prisoners, like they now were, 2 men and a woman. All hikers who'd disappeared over the past year. They'd been kept alive, forced to work in the illegal mine when equipment couldn't do the job. The woman, Jennifer Park, had been missing for 6 months. Her words to Ryan's camera, "They keep us alive as long as we're useful. When you can't work anymore, you join the bodies in Chamber 23. The 2 men, brothers Tom and David Mitchell, had been hiking when they'd stumbled upon an entrance. There are 12 of them, Tom explained. They rotate in shifts. Professional operation. Some have Russian accents, others sound local. The boss is someone high up in state government. We've heard them mention the commissioner multiple times." Jake's tactical mind went into overdrive. 5 prisoners, 3 of them weakened from months of captivity, against 12 armed captors. The odds were impossible, but Jake had something they didn't expect. 2 brothers who die before leaving him behind. Day 35, September 13th. They enacted Jake's plan, using Michael's knowledge of geology and some improvised explosives from mining equipment. They created a controlled collapse in a non-essential tunnel. The chaos drew most of the guards. In the confusion, they freed the other prisoners and made for what they believed was the main exit. Ryan's camera, strapped to his chest, captured the escape attempt. Running through LED-lit tunnels, alarms blaring, voices shouting in multiple languages, they reached a massive chamber where industrial mining equipment sat beside crates marked in Cyrillic script. This wasn't just illegal mining mines. It was international theft of American resources. They almost made it. Daylight was visible ahead. Real sunlight for the first time in over a month. Jake was carrying Jennifer, who was too weak to run. Michael and Ryan supported the Mitchell brothers, 50 feet from freedom. The gunshot echoed through the cave. Jake went down, blood spreading across his back. Ryan's camera captured him pushing Jennifer forward. Don't stop. Michael and Ryan faced an impossible choice. Save themselves and the other prisoners, or go back for Jake. The camera shows them stopping, turning back, despite Jake screaming at them to run. That's when the second collapse happened. Whether intentional or triggered by their earlier explosion, the main tunnel began caving in. The camera footage becomes chaos, Midas dust, screaming, rocks falling. The last clear image is Michael shielding Ryan with his body as the ceiling comes down. Day 47, September 25th, when the rescue team finally found them, drawn by Jennifer Park's testimony, after she'd crawled to safety. They found a scene that broke hardened investigators' hearts. The three Henderson brothers were found together, Jake in the middle, his younger brothers on either side. They'd died as they'd lived, protecting each other. But they'd won. Ryan's camera, protected in its case, contained 47 days of evidence. Michael's geological surveys proved the illegal operation. Jake's tactical notes identified patterns and weaknesses. Together, they documented enough to bring down the entire criminal network. The investigation that followed revealed the truth. The illegal mining operation had been run by a consortium of corrupt officials and international criminals, extracting rare earth minerals worth hundreds of millions from national park land. The State Commissioner of Natural Resources was arrested, along with 37 co-conspirators. 23 missing persons cases were solved. Families who'd waited decades for answers finally learned what had happened to their loved ones. Robert Henderson was exhumed from the cave and given a proper burial beside his sons. The Mitchell brothers, who survived because of the Hendersons' sacrifice, testified at every trial. Tom Mitchell's statement to the court: Jake, Michael, and Ryan Henderson died, saving us. They could have tried to escape alone when they first found the exit weeks earlier. Instead, they risked everything to free us too. They died as heroes. Jennifer Park, who still struggles with survivor's guilt, created the Henderson Brothers Foundation to support families of missing persons. Jake carried me toward freedom, even after he was shot. He died making sure I lived. I owe them everything. In 2024, Wildlife Officer Mark Stevens was investigating renewed seismic activity in the area when he discovered a chamber the original investigation had missed. Inside, he found Jake's final journal, wrapped in waterproof material. The last entry dated September 24th, the day before they died. We're not making it out. The collapse is too severe, but we did what Dad would have done. We fought back. We saved 3 people. The evidence will convict them all. Mom, we love you. We stayed together. We protected each other. Henderson Brothers forever. Below that, in Ryan's handwriting, Emily, the ring is yours. Have a beautiful life. Be happy. That's all I ever wanted for you. And finally, in Michael's precise script, for science, for truth, for justice, the rocks don't lie. Neither did we. Margaret Henderson, now 74, visits the memorial erected at the cave site every August 12th. My boys died protecting others. They died together. They died brave. Robert would have been so proud. I'm heartbroken, but I'm also proud. They were heroes. All 4 of my boys. Emily Martinez, née Thompson, who eventually married but kept Ryan's ring on a chain around her neck, brings her children to the memorial. I tell them about the uncle they never met, about how he faced death, thinking of others, about how love means sacrifice, sometimes. The cave system is now sealed, but before it was closed, investigators found one last message, carved into the rock near where the brothers died, probably by Jake with his last strength. Henderson boys don't quit. They never did. The illegal mining operation's full scope shocked everyone. Over 40 years, they'd extracted nearly $500 million in rare earth minerals from federal land. They'd murdered at least 37 people who discovered their operation. They'd corrupted officials at every level of government. But they hadn't counted on 3 brothers who refused to be silenced. Dr. Sarah Chen, the federal investigator who led the case, stated, "The Henderson brothers' documentation was so thorough that we got convictions on every single conspirator. Their sacrifice didn't just solve their case. It exposed a criminal network that had operated with impunity for decades. The minerals extracted were crucial components for military technology. The investigation revealed that foreign agents had been stealing American strategic resources for decades, weakening national security. The Henderson brothers had uncovered international espionage without even knowing it. Michael's geological surveys, found with his body, were published posthumously in the Journal of American Geology. His theory about hidden cave systems proved correct. His work has led to the discovery of 12 other illegal mining operations across the country. Jake's tactical analysis of the criminal organization was adopted by the FBI for training purposes. His ability to maintain leadership and document evidence while trapped underground is considered one of the greatest examples of grace under pressure in law enforcement history. Ryan's video footage became evidence in the largest criminal conspiracy trial in Montana history. Every frame he shot contributed to justice. The newspaper he'd worked for published his story posthumously, winning a Pulitzer Prize for public service. The money recovered from the criminal organization, Midas over $200 million, was distributed to the families of victims. Margaret Henderson donated her share to build a search and rescue training facility named after her sons and husband. They died in darkness so others could live in light, she said at the dedication. The 3 other prisoners who survived because of the Hendersons' sacrifice have lived their lives honoring that gift. Jennifer Park became a park ranger, dedicating her life to protecting the wilderness and those who explore it. The Mitchell brothers established a foundation providing GPS beacons to hikers for free. But perhaps the most poignant legacy came from an unexpected source. In 2024, investigators found a time capsule the brothers had created in the cave, thinking they might survive. Inside were 3 items: Jake's Army dog tags with a note for strength, Michael's MIT graduation ring with a note for knowledge, and Ryan's unwrapped engagement ring with a note for love. Also in the capsule was a photo of all 4 Henderson men, Mider Robert, with his 3 boys, on their last camping trip together in 1995. On the back, in young Ryan's writing, "Henderson boys, forever." The photo now hangs in the Glacier National Park Ranger Station, a reminder that sometimes the greatest discoveries aren't about what we find, but about who we refuse to leave behind. The Henderson brothers went into the darkness looking for rocks. They found criminals, conspiracy, and death. But they also found what they'd always had, each other. Ranger Tom Morrison, who issued their final permit, keeps a copy of their photo on his desk. Every time I issue a backcountry permit, I look at those boys. I remember that courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about being terrified and doing the right thing anyway. The cave entrance has been permanently sealed with a bronze plaque that reads, "In memory of Jake, Michael, and Ryan Henderson, and their father Robert, they went into darkness and brought light. They found evil and chose good. They faced death and chose love. Brothers forever." Each year on August 12th, at exactly 7:43 a.m. mines the moment their empty campsite was discovered, park rangers across Montana observe a moment of silence for 3 brothers who refused to leave each other behind, for a father who died protecting the same land, for a family that proved love is stronger than fear. The last words belong to Margaret Henderson, spoken at the memorial dedication. "My boys went camping to honor their father's memory. They died honoring his values. Jake protected. Michael discovered. Ryan documented. Together they saved lives and exposed truth. I lost 4 pieces of my heart to those caves, but I wouldn't change who they were. Heroes run in the Henderson blood. My boys proved that darkness cannot win as long as people choose to stand together." But the story doesn't end with their burial. In 2024, new evidence emerged that added another layer to this already complex tragedy. Wildlife Officer Mark Stevens wasn't just investigating seismic activity when he found that hidden chamber. He was following a tip from an anonymous source who claimed to have been part of the original mining operation and wanted to clear their conscience before dying. This source, identified only as Witness X in federal documents, provided Stevens with exact coordinates and a warning: there's more down there. Things the Henderson boys found but didn't have time to document, things that explain why this operation was protected for so long. Stevens' body cam footage from March 15, 2024, entering the previously undiscovered chamber, is now public record. Beyond Jake's final journal, he found filing cabinets sealed in waterproof containers. Inside were documents that would shake the foundations of American politics: contracts between the mining operation and defense contractors, payment records to senators and congressmen, photographs of high-ranking military officials at the cave site. The Henderson brothers had stumbled onto something bigger than illegal mining. They'd discovered treason. The documents revealed that rare earth minerals extracted from Glacier National Park were being sold to foreign governments, including nations hostile to United States interests. The operation had compromised national security for profit. Neodymium and dysprosium, critical for guided missile systems and submarine detection equipment, had been diverted from American defense programs and sold to the highest bidder. One document, dated July 2001, just weeks before the Henderson brothers arrived, outlined plans to expand operations. The subject line read, "Project Undermountain Phase 3, Implementation." The recipients included 3 sitting senators, a federal judge, and the deputy director of the Bureau of Land Management. Ryan's camera tapes, when enhanced with 2024 technology, revealed details invisible to investigators in 2001. In the background of Day 11 footage, license plates are visible on vehicles hidden in the cave. When traced, they belonged to diplomatic vehicles from the Russian consulate in San Francisco, reported stolen in 1999 but never recovered. The most damning evidence came from Michael's rock samples, preserved with his body. Modern analysis revealed microscopic tracking dust used by intelligence agencies. Someone had been monitoring the caves with surveillance equipment so advanced it wasn't publicly known to exist in 2001. The Henderson brothers were being watched by more than just criminals, they were being monitored by intelligence assets. Jake's military background became crucial to understanding what they'd discovered. His tactical notes, initially dismissed as paranoid observations, were actually identifying military-grade security protocols. He'd recognized former Special Forces operatives among their captors. His journal entry from Day 31 reads, "These aren't just criminals. Movement patterns, communication discipline, weapons handling them. These are trained operators, government trained." The investigation expanded internationally. Interpol discovered matching operations in 12 other countries, all targeting rare earth deposits, all connected to the same network. The Henderson brothers had uncovered one node of a global conspiracy that reached from Montana's caves to Moscow's intelligence services, from Beijing's military-industrial complex to boardrooms in Washington, D.C. Former CIA analyst David Brennan, reviewing the case in 2024, stated what those 3 young men discovered would have been enough to trigger a national security crisis if it had been exposed in 2001. Elements within our own government were selling out America's strategic mineral reserves. The Hendersons died because they threatened a treasonous operation worth billions. The psychological torture the brothers endured takes on new meaning with this context. The recordings of their mother's voice weren't just cruel they were professionally produced, using voice synthesis technology that civilian law enforcement didn't know existed in 2001. Someone with access to classified resources was trying to break them. Day 20, September 1st. Previously undocumented footage from Ryan's camera shows something extraordinary. In what they thought was an empty chamber, The camera captures a figure in tactical gear observing them from approximately 100 feet away. Enhancement reveals the observer is wearing night vision equipment and carrying a military-issue M4 carbine. They were being evaluated as potential threats by professional soldiers. Day 22. September 3rd. Jake's journal describes finding a cache different from the others. Military rations, U.S. Army issue, but with Cyrillic writing on the repackaging. Someone's supplying our enemies with American military resources through this cave. This is treason at the highest level. The brothers' decision to free the other prisoners becomes even more heroic when considering what they knew. They weren't just risking their lives against criminal. They were opposing a shadow organization with government connections. Jake's final tactical assessment found in the 2024 discovery shows he understood the implications. If we die here, we die as patriots exposing traitors. If we live, we'll probably be silenced anyway. But those 3 prisoners don't deserve this. We get them out, whatever the cost. Jennifer Park's testimony, sealed for national security reasons, until 2024, reveals more than initially reported. She overheard conversations between captors mentioning the October meeting and congressional oversight elimination. The criminal organization was planning to murder members of Congress who were getting too close to discovering the operation. The Henderson brothers' disruption may have prevented political assassinations. The Mitchell brothers, in depositions finally declassified, reported seeing military helicopters landing in the cave system through openings invisible from above. These aircraft had no identification numbers, what aviation experts call ghost birds. Military aircraft that officially don't exist. Tom Mitchell's statement, they were moving crates marked with radiation symbols. Whatever they were mining wasn't just rare earth minerals. There was uranium down there too. This revelation triggered a Department of Energy investigation that discovered 200 pounds of weapons-grade uranium had been extracted from the cave system between 1987 and 2001, enough for several nuclear devices. The destination of this uranium remains unknown, a terrifying loose thread that keeps investigators awake at night. Michael's geological notes, when reviewed by nuclear experts, showed he'd detected the uranium deposits, but hadn't fully understood their significance. His entry from day 14, radiation levels elevated in chamber 19, natural uranium deposits, but concentration unusually high. Someone's been extracting here recently. Why would anyone risk radiation exposure for regular mining? The answer came from Witness X's 2024 testimony. The uranium was the real prize. The rare earth minerals were profitable, but the uranium was power, selling nuclear material to rogue states and terrorist organizations. The Henderson kid almost figured it out. That's why they had to die. Ryan's final video message, recorded day 46, shows a young man who'd realized the full scope of what they'd discovered. If anyone finds this, please understand, we found evidence of treason. American citizens selling nuclear material to our enemies. We have names, dates, transactions recorded. The evidence is hidden in Chamber 7. Coordinates marked on Michael's map. Please someone stop them. The coordinates led investigators to a hidden cache the brothers had created, wrapped in waterproof material, were photographs Ryan had taken of documents, Michael's geological samples proving uranium extraction, and Jake's list of conspirators compiled from overheard conversations. They'd known they might not survive, and had created a backup plan to ensure the evidence survived. Among the names on Jake's list were 3 that sent shockwaves through Washington. The Supreme Court Justice who died in 2009, a Pentagon official who'd become Secretary of Defense, and a senator who'd run for president in 2004. The implications were staggering. Then conspiracy reached the highest levels of American government. The 2024 investigation revealed that 17 mysterious deaths between 2001 and 2024 were connected to the cave conspiracy. Journalists who'd asked too many questions, investigators who'd gotten too close, government officials who'd threatened to expose the truth. The Henderson brothers weren't the only ones who'd died for discovering this secret mess. They were just the first documented case. Margaret Henderson's reaction to learning the full truth about her son's death was captured by reporters. "My boys didn't just die in a cave. They died defending America from enemies within. They were patriots, like their father. I'm proud, so proud, even through my tears." The international implications continued to unfold. Russian intelligence files leaked in 2024 confirmed they'd been receiving uranium from the Montana source. Chinese military documents revealed they'd acquired submarine detection technology using rare earth minerals from the same operation. The Henderson brothers had uncovered one of the greatest intelligence failures in American history. FBI Director Patricia Walsh, announcing the 2024 arrests, stated, "The courage of 3 young men in 2001 has led to the largest espionage investigation in FBI history." Jake, Michael, and Ryan Henderson died as heroes, but more than that, they died as patriots who refused to let treason go unexposed. The cave system, before being permanently sealed, was thoroughly documented. Investigators found 17 more bodies, all people who'd discovered the operation over the decades. Each had been murdered and hidden in the vast network of tunnels. The Henderson brothers would have been numbers 38, 39, and 40 if not for their successful effort to document everything. One of the most chilling discoveries was a room designated the archive. Thousands of photographs and files on potential threats to the operation. The Henderson family had been under surveillance since Robert started investigating unusual geological reports in 1994. Photos of young Jake, Michael, and Ryan at their father's funeral were in the files, marked potential future problems. This revelation meant the brothers had been walking into a trap from the moment they entered the park. The operation knew who they were. Knew Michael had been investigating the geological anomalies and had prepared for their arrival. The cave-in wasn't random. It was triggered deliberately once they were deep enough inside. But the conspirators had underestimated the Henderson brothers. They'd expected 3 young men to panic, to die quickly in the darkness. They hadn't expected Jake's military training, Michael's geological expertise, or Ryan's determination to document everything. They hadn't expected the brothers to find and free other prisoners. Most of all, they hadn't expected them to choose others' lives over their own. Day 38, September 15th. A newly discovered journal entry, in Jake's handwriting, reveals their full understanding of the situation. "We know who you are now. We know what you're doing. We know you killed our father. We know you're watching us. We also know you need us alive, for now. We're your insurance policy, but we're not playing your game anymore. Tomorrow we make our move." The move was their escape attempt, which, though it cost them their lives, succeeded in getting Jennifer Park and the Mitchell brothers to safety. More importantly, it panicked the conspirators into making mistakes. The hasty cover-up, the suspicious collapse that killed the brothers, the failure to retrieve all the evidence. These errors ultimately led to the operation's exposure. Former NSA analyst Dr. James Crawford, studying the case, observed the Henderson brothers conducted, under extreme duress, one of the most effective intelligence-gathering operations I've ever seen. Trapped in a cave, facing certain death, they managed to compile evidence that professional investigators had missed for 40 years. The mineral extraction equipment found in the caves was traced to defense contractors who'd reported it destroyed in training exercises. The serial numbers matched perfectly. Someone had been stealing military equipment and using it for illegal mining, then selling the extracted materials back to the military at inflated prices. It was a perfect circle of corruption. Ryan's photographs, enhanced with modern technology, revealed faces of several captors. Facial recognition identified them as former Special Forces operators who'd supposedly died in Afghanistan in 1999. They'd been declared KIA. Their families had received death benefits, but they'd actually been recruited for the mining operation. They were ghosts, officially dead but still operating in shadows. This discovery led to a Department of Defense review that found 47 other service members declared dead who had no confirmed bodies. The investigation suggests a network of ghost operators conducting illegal activities while officially deceased. The Henderson Cave operation was just one of many such projects. Michael's geological work has been studied extensively since his death. His techniques for identifying hidden cave systems have been adopted by the U.S. Geological Survey. His theory about systematic manipulation of geological records has led to the discovery of dozens of other sites where illegal extraction occurred. Universities now teach the Henderson method for detecting geological fraud. The 3 prisoners saved by the Henderson brothers have dedicated their lives to justice. Jennifer Park joined the FBI and now heads a task force investigating government corruption. Tom Mitchell became a prosecutor specializing in national security cases. David Mitchell wrote a book, 47 Days in Hell, with all proceeds going to the Henderson Foundation. Their testimonies remain crucial to ongoing investigations. Jennifer Park's photographic memory allowed her to recreate conversations she'd overheard. Her recollection of a discussion about the submarine detection problem led to the discovery that American submarine positions had been compromised for years due to the stolen rare earth minerals being used in enemy detection systems. The Mitchell brothers' description of the captors' communication methods revealed they were using encrypted satellite phones that shouldn't have existed in 2001. The technology was at least 5 years ahead of what was commercially available, indicating access to classified military research. The nuclear material aspect remains the most troubling. Of the 200 pounds of uranium extracted, only 50 pounds have been recovered. The remaining 150 pounds could be anywhere in the world, in anyone's hands. Every unexplained radiation detection, every nuclear threat, raises the question: is this uranium from the Montana caves? Dr. Sarah Chen, leading the ongoing investigation, stated in 2024, "The Henderson brothers prevented a catastrophe we're only now beginning to understand. If that uranium had been fully distributed, if the rare earth mineral theft had continued, if the conspiracy had remained hidden, America's defense capabilities would have been compromised beyond repair." The financial investigation revealed the operation generated over $2 billion in profits over 40 years. The money was traced through shell companies in 17 countries, ultimately funding terrorism, enemy military programs, and bribing American officials. The Henderson brothers had stumbled onto one of the largest terrorist financing operations in history. Their story has inspired legislative change. The Henderson Act requires geological surveys to be verified by independent inspectors. The Robert Henderson Protocol mandates investigation of all park ranger deaths previously ruled accidental. The brothers' law provides protection for families of whistleblowers, but perhaps the most significant impact has been on military families. Sarah Henderson, Jake's estranged wife, who'd initially been portrayed negatively in early reports, came forward with crucial information. Jake had discovered irregularities in military supply chains through his construction business. He'd been investigating on his own, trying to protect fellow veterans from faulty equipment. His financial troubles came from refusing to participate in contractor fraud, not from mismanagement. Sarah's testimony. Jake died as he lived, protecting others. He knew something was wrong, with military supplies going missing. He connected it to the geological research Michael was doing. He went on that camping trip, not just as a brother, but as a soldier investigating threats to America. This revelation led to a Veterans Affairs investigation that discovered systematic theft of military supplies being diverted to illegal operations, like the cave mining. Equipment meant for American soldiers was being used to extract materials sold to enemy nations. The cycle of treason was complete, stealing from America to arm America's enemies. Day 40, September 17, Enhanced audio from Ryan's camera reveals a conversation between captors in the background. Translation from Russian: "The young one keeps filming everything. Should we take the camera?" Response: "No, let him document. When they're dead, we'll use the footage to study how long humans can survive down here for future prisoners." They were being used as test subjects. Their survival data valuable for improving the efficiency of future captive labor. The brothers had become unwitting participants in their captors' research on underground survival. The psychological torture wasn't just cruelty, it was experimentation. But Ryan turned their weapon against them. His documentation became evidence of war crimes, human experimentation, and systematic murder. Every frame he shot, thinking he was recording final messages, became testimony in international court. The camera they left him to document his suffering instead documented their crimes. Jake's military training proved invaluable, even in death. His tactical notes describing the captors' routines, shift changes, and communication patterns provided intelligence services with a blueprint of how these shadow operations functioned. Military academies now study his notes as an example of intelligence gathering under extreme duress. His final tactical assessment, found in 2024, showed he'd identified the operation's greatest weakness. They're arrogant. They've operated so long without opposition that they've become sloppy. Regular patterns, predictable responses, overconfidence in their security. If someone could get this information to the right people, the entire network could be dismantled. That's exactly what happened. Using Jake's observations, federal agents identified similar patterns at other sites. His notes from beyond the grave led to raids on 17 illegal operations across the country, saving hundreds of potential victims and recovering stolen military assets worth billions. Michael's scientific legacy extends beyond geology. His method of using mineral deposits to navigate underground has been adopted by search and rescue teams worldwide. His technique of identifying human modification of natural formations is taught at the FBI Academy. His formulas for calculating cave stability saved the lives of rescue teams entering to recover the brothers' bodies. His equation for determining how long someone could survive underground with limited resources proved tragically accurate. He'd calculated 49 days maximum survival with their supplies and water source. They died on day 47, within his margin of error. His scientific precision continued even as death approached. Ryan's journalistic instincts never failed. His documentation followed professional standards, even under unimaginable stress. Each piece of evidence was labeled, dated, and described. His chain of custody notes would have stood up in court. A 22-year-old reporter had created a legal case that prosecutors called flawless. His newspaper's investigation, triggered by his death, uncovered connections between local politicians and the mining operation. The paper won multiple Pulitzer Prizes for their reporting, all crediting Ryan as the primary source. His editor's eulogy: "Ryan died practicing journalism at its purest, documenting truth, regardless of personal cost." The ring Ryan carried for Emily became a symbol of hope in darkness. When recovered, it was still in perfect condition, protected in its box. Emily wore it at her wedding years later, telling her husband, "This represents a love that transcends death. Ryan loved me enough to carry this ring through hell. I wear it to remember that love conquers even the darkest places." She established the Ryan Henderson School of Journalism, focusing on investigative reporting and government accountability. Every graduate receives a compass engraved with Ryan's last words: "Truth survives when those who speak it don't." The Henderson family home, empty since Margaret moved to assisted living, was searched in 2024. In the attic, investigators found Robert's own investigation files from 1994 to 1995. He'd been tracking the same geological anomalies Michael would later discover. His notes showed he was days away from exposing the operation when he was murdered. One entry: dated a week before his death, taking the boys camping next month. If something happens to me, keep them away from the caves. They're too much like their old man, they'll dig until they find the truth. The tragic irony that his sons died in the very caves he'd tried to protect them from has haunted investigators, but Margaret Henderson sees it differently. Robert tried to shield them from evil, but I raised them to confront it. They died doing what Hendersons do, standing up to bullies, protecting the innocent, refusing to back down. The international ramifications continue to unfold. NATO allies have demanded explanations for how their defense systems were compromised by stolen technology. Trading partners question the security of American military supplies. The damage to international relations may take decades to repair. But there's also inspiration in the global response. Military units worldwide have adopted Henderson Protocol: never leave anyone behind, document everything, protect the vulnerable. The brothers' sacrifice has become a universal symbol of courage against corruption. The cave system, studied extensively before sealing, revealed a 47-day chronicle of human endurance. The brothers had marked their path with arrows pointing to evidence caches. They'd created a water filtration system that engineers called ingenious. They'd established communication points where acoustic properties allowed sound to travel between chambers. Even facing death, they'd been planning, preparing, hoping. Forensic analysis of their remains showed they'd shared their final meal equally. The candy bar found in Michael's pocket, divided 3 ways. Jake had wrapped his jacket around his brother's despite his own injuries. Michael had cushioned Ryan's head with his rolled-up shirt. They'd arranged themselves in a protective circle, hands linked, facing outward against whatever might come. The position of their bodies told investigators everything about who they were. Jake in the middle, the protector to the end. Michael to his right, still clutching geological samples that would prove crucial to the investigation. Ryan to Jake's left, camera battery drained but memory cards hidden in a waterproof container inside his shirt. The medical examiner noted that, despite 47 days of starvation, despite injuries from the collapse, despite the psychological torture, there were no signs they'd turned on each other. No defensive wounds, no evidence of conflict. They'd maintained their humanity and brotherhood until the very end. The final entry, in Michael's notebook, written in fading pencil as flashlight batteries died. Darkness coming, Jake unconscious, Ryan weak. I was wrong about the rocks being important. Only thing that matters. We stayed together. Tell Mom we weren't afraid. We had each other. Below, in Ryan's shaking handwriting, Michael stopped breathing at 1:47 a.m., Jake at 3:15 a.m. I'm alone, but not alone. Their hands still warm. Wait for me, brothers. Almost there. The coroner determined all 3 brothers died within hours of each other on September 25th, from injuries sustained in the tunnel collapse combined with prolonged exposure and malnutrition. They were found holding hands, having positioned themselves in a protective circle. Recovery team member, Sergeant Patricia Mills, a hardened veteran of dozens of rescues, broke down describing the scene. In 20 years of recovery operations, I've never seen anything like it. 3 brothers who refused to let death separate them. They looked peaceful. They looked like they were just sleeping. The Henderson brothers' grave has become a pilgrimage site. Military units visit to honor Jake's sacrifice. Geology students come to remember Michael's dedication to truth. Journalism schools bring students to learn about Ryan's documentation. Families come to see proof that love is stronger than death. The inscription on their shared headstone chosen by their mother reads, Jake, Michael, and Ryan Henderson. Sons, brothers, heroes. They descended into darkness as 3. They emerged into light as 1, with their father Robert, forever. Each year the number of visitors grows. They leave rocks for Michael, dog tags for Jake, cameras for Ryan. Parents bring children to tell them about courage. Veterans salute. Journalists leave penned science. Scientists leave field notes. All honoring 3 young men who refused to let evil win.